So it says like we play that interlude after the head, but we solo just on A and B, and then play the interlude, I suppose, at the very end. Hmm? No, we decided to put it on afterwards. Because I have 20 copies, and if people just pick it up, that'll be fun, right? I'll do it during the. But if you see Bill, give him. Just a second. Well, yeah, because I've got. Yeah. So that's the end. So let's start the prelude early enough that we can play it through a couple of times.
Hey, David?
I'll tell Frenchye.
I had nothing to do with
I know you did. You sat there listening.
it. I took a lot of notes.
Yeah. In a community like this, to stay aligned. I would.
Thank you, David.
Hi.
Author. Third book from the author of Drive.
Oh.
It's better. I didn't read the second.
I did. I thought about it.
Yeah, this is good. I read it in the week, which is a fast study. I started on plan.
Oh, awesome! You and a lot of other people actually. The second deadline is bringing them in, so I'm glad. Delighted. Thank you. I'm glad something came to you, even if it's only half of it. Oh, good. Yeah, you told me you were struggling with it.
How are you, Bill?
Hi.
And you know how the church studied the Wesley book? Do you have a copy that you're not using? Did you ever get that book?
Yeah, I got that book. No, I didn't get the book we just did. I'm sorry. I take that back.
Oh, okay.
I never got that.
Yeah, I didn't want to invest in a book that I wasn't going to read from.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be in the library.
It probably is. Would you like an easy job today? Or would you rather not have a job?
No, but that's all right. I've got an easy job will work.
Will work? So this is All Saints Day, and remembering all the people we lost in the last year.
Right.
And we're blending that with the blessing of creation. We're doing this long 2-page liturgy, and I have a job for a volunteer at the end. And all it is to lead the community in the last stanzas that are
Okay.
printed in the bulletin. These are the only words that are printed in the bulletin. So all you have to do is, this will go on for some time. And I suggest here, after we pass the piece, that you be up near the front. That's just
Okay.
a suggestion.
Okay.
To hang
So
out
it's
near the front.
just, is it after the song or before the song?
Yeah, you can. The song is going to weave through the whole thing. We're going to sing here,
Oh,
here,
okay.
here, here, here. The music's going to
Okay.
rise and fall, singing "We Remember Them."
Oh, okay.
So here, after we pass the piece, we're going to reset, and we're going to ring the bowl again. The music will sing. We'll sing this 4 times.
Okay.
And then if you'd say,
I'd
"Join
say
me
that
in
one.
these words of da da da," and then you'll lead everybody between
Okay.
these 4 words, and everybody will join you. It's unison.
Okay.
And then pause, and we'll sing 4 more times, and then
Okay.
do the same thing. And say something like "Join me again," or "Together again," or just
Yes.
something to give
Okay.
a cue. We give a cue for everybody to read the last 4 words, and that's it.
Okay.
It's easy. It's just
That is.
It's just to lead the unison words of the community sentence.
Okay. Okay.
Easy.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you don't want to keep
It's your
that.
copy.
Okay. Perfect. I have not written anything yet because I've been working so much. And I'm working today again. I worked yesterday. I worked Thursday. I can't get anything to go. I
And don't
looked.
worry about it.
Yeah, I'm still looking. I looked once and I'm looking again. I looked at David White to see if there was a poem or a reading and I couldn't find it. It's crazy when you come back. When I listened to Steve's podcast, I understood why it was so hard coming back. It wasn't just jet lag. It was a double dose. And so that helped me a lot because then I said, okay, don't expect that much of yourself right now. Because this took a hit. It was a bit like, when Diana died, people were hit harder than they expected. There's the same sort of thing about it. Yeah. So anyway, that's a lot of words, but I truly have tried. But again, because I'm working again today,
I take that to heart. When everything's upside down as well as full,
Yes.
I get it. Nothing could flow. How could anything flow at all?
well, it usually does better than this. And of course, I'm 2.5 years older than when I last came back. We
Double
have
dose, double dose.
Thank you.
You're allowed to be human. You're allowed to pass one time too.
All right. Morning.
Glad we got it.
show you hidden things you have not known. I will show you hidden things you have not known. I will show
our local saint, Mary Oliver. And there are copies on the back table for those of you who wish to have them here on Sundays. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light, are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this. The fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know, is to live in this world, you must be able to do three things. To live what is mortal, love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing that your life depends upon it. And then when the time comes, to let go, to let go, to let go.
As you breathe in the beauty of this day, we bid you welcome to Sacred Journey. You are invited to take a deep breath. And to let it go, knowing that the arms of love are open to you, as is this community. Whether you are here in this room or joining us by live stream, you are welcome. I invite you to stand and let's sing our way into this amazing day.
1, 2, 3.
You are called to tell the story,
Uttering birds of life along, there to blend your voice with others as you sing the sacred song. Christ be known, all are singing, filling all with songs of joy. filling all with gifts of love.
The scripture this morning is from John, not always the easiest book to understand, but the message makes it easier. I am the vine, you are the branches. When you're joined with me and I with you, the relation intimate and organic, the harvest is sure to be abundant. Separated, you can't produce a thing. Anyone who separates me from me is dead wood, gathered up and thrown on the bonfire. But if you make yourselves at home with me and my words are at home in you, you can be sure that whatever you ask will be listened to and acted upon. This is how God is revealed. When you produce grapes, when you are mature as my disciples. I am no longer calling you servants because servants don't understand what their master is thinking and planning. No, I've named you friends because I've let you in on everything I've heard from God. You didn't choose me, remember? I chose you and put you in the world to bear fruit, fruit that won't spoil. As fruit bearers, whatever you ask God in relation to me, God gives you. But remember the root command: love one another.
This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. It is that day when we remember those who have been dear and precious to us. We call it All Saints Sunday because we remember those who are part of our community of saints. And you are invited to join in this time of remembering, to hold them in your heart, and at the appropriate time, you will be able to name them aloud.
We enter into a time of remembering. We remember that the holy majesty and mystery of God is present, manifest in creation, in every life form, in every tree and clam and bird, in every hill and meadow, manifest in the sea and the sky. And we remember that this same holy presence is incarnated in each one of us. And we remember this holy presence fully embodied in the lives of our loved ones and the saints who have gone before us. We remember and we awaken to the holy presence of God present here in this place. And we bless this space as we bless the lives of those who have gone before. as we remember, you are invited now, if you've brought pictures or artifacts of your loved ones or angels, to bring them and place them on the altar table as we continue to sing together. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. We remember them. We remember them. We remember them. We remember them.
When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them.
So long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. We remember them. We remember them. We remember them. We remember them.
As the music continues underneath, you are invited to speak aloud or to speak silently or quietly to yourselves the names of those saints and loved ones that you hold in your memory today. Paul Wellstone.
We remember them.
We remember them. We remember them. We remember them.
The peace of God present in this room, present in all creation, present in those who we remember today, is present also in you. I invite you to share signs and remembrances of that peace with one another. And as you do so, you're also invited to stop by and to visit the altar, to say a prayer, or to view the angels and artifacts before us. Let us share God's peace with one another.
He's going to start the bowl. He's going to ring the bowl and then we start.
I see. I didn't see the.
Oh yeah.
Peace be with you, Trish.
Good morning. Morning.
We remember them. We remember them. We remember them. We remember
Join me in these words of remembrance printed in your bulletin. At the rising of the sun and its going down, at the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, at the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer.
We remember them. We remember them. We remember them. We remember them.
Join me again in these words of remembrance. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of the autumn, beginning of the year and when it ends, as long as we live, they too will live. For in the intimate pattern of the cosmos, they are of us and we are of them, held together in your arms of love.
We remember them. We remember them. We remember them. We remember them.
Reasoning of God, but it was an alienating time for him. In 1984, Henry wrote a friend, "Please keep me in your prayer. Pray that I may speak words that reach the heart of people who are crying out for a new spiritual life." During his second year, he determined to inspire and deepen the faith of his students through passionate, Christ-centered lectures.
A lot of the Harvard people were terribly offended by what Henry was saying. They had never heard, perhaps, anyone in their lives speak about Jesus with real conviction. And here was this man who dared to do it at Harvard. Here, Henry was regarded as politically incorrect.
The reason he left Harvard, and he told it himself, he says, you know, I have my classroom and I'm speaking about praying and I have no time to pray myself. I'm speaking about community and I have no time to form a community. I'm speaking about blessed are the poor, and I'm living in a very ambitious world.
From the very beginning of my life, there has been two voices. One voice saying, Henry, be sure you make it on your own. Be sure you can do it yourself. Be sure you become an independent person. Be sure that I can be proud of you. And another voice that says, Henry, whatever you're going to do, even when you don't do anything very interesting in the eyes of the world, be sure you stay close to the heart of Jesus.
Henry now
From the very beginning, he says, two voices. One voice be independent, be successful, be ambitious, climb the ladder, get to the top. The other voice, whatever you do, stay close to the heart of Jesus. How many of you have heard the two voices in your lifetime? How many of you, like Henry, found that the climb was exhausting, and that perhaps success, as it was defined by the one voice, was not necessarily all it was really cracked up to be? The reason we're using Henry Nouwen is because his life and his work embodies that tension that so many of us feel and so many of us know, and that so many people outside of this room are still struggling and fighting with. Successful or fruitful? Jesus says, if you stay organically linked and connected with me, you will discover what fruitfulness means. Jesus does not promise success. In fact, if we look at the Gospels by any stretch of the imagination, Jesus is a pretty abject failure. If your goal as a prophet is to have people follow you and to end up at the top of the prophetic ladder, death is not exactly the way to do that. If your goal is to have people proclaim you as a king and then leave you in the middle of the night, well, but this is the tension we live in still, because we have no way of knowing how our stories end. We have no way of telling our own legacy. It's those who come after us who live our legacy. And so perhaps like Henry, the most we can do, the best we can do, is grab onto that relationship with life, to grab onto that organic relationship with the Spirit that gives us a real sense of belonging to God as God's beloved. And to have that Spirit overflow abundantly in us and to be as open to it as possible, even if it leads you into unexpected places. Perhaps the best we can do is to allow the relationships that come with all those other branches, because we don't get to control where the branches are if we're attached to the vine. It's kind of the way it goes. The vine is the vine and we're the branches, and we don't actually get to say who gets to be a branch. But as we come into relationship with those other branches, perhaps the best we can do is to enjoy the unexpected entanglements that God sends our way and embrace them as opportunities to flourish. Perhaps the best we can do is not aspire to be successful saints, but aspire to be followers, walking in the way of love embodying radical love in ways that surprise and stun and sometimes actually scare the world. Because who would have thought that some 2,000 years later we would still be sitting in a room talking about a Jewish rabbi who failed miserably. And we would be listening to hear the words of that rabbi as they encourage us and as they stretch us and as they challenge us and as they move us to be more than we could ever be on our own, just because we'd accepted the reality that you and I, as our dear friend Henry Nouwen says, you and I are the beloved sons and daughters. We are the legacy, and we leave a legacy. And as we embrace that living and embrace that leaving, what joy we discover. Whatever you do, stay close to the heart of Jesus. Amen.
As we remember our loved ones, we also remember that love is present in this room, in the Spirit moving among us, and in the company of each other. So as we remain organically linked to Spirit in this time of prayer, I invite you, as you remember your special loved ones who've gone before, to also offer now prayers that you have for our world, for yourself, prayers of celebration or concern. If you have a prayer that you'd like to share with the community, please raise your hand and we'll pass the microphone to you.
I'm going to be long-winded. I want to thank Jaden for coming to pick me up today. And then I want to thank Nate for being handsome. And then I want to say that the altar table is so pretty. And then I want to say one more thing. I'm not going to be here much longer because it's getting chilly out. And so I'm going to be home during the service, and then I'm gonna take in the service over there. And then I want to say goodbye.
We gather Holly's prayer into our hearts and hold it there and bless it with our love, and then release it, sending it on its way.
I would like prayers for my grandson Ryder, who is 9 and is dealing with an eye problem they can't seem to correct. And we should know more with the blood tests that are coming later.
I have prayers of celebration. My oldest brother got married to his soulmate, and I talked to him a couple days ago, and they said, "Have you been to church lately?" And I said, "No, I haven't been, so here I am."
I would like the prayers of this blessed community for my son Brian. You've prayed for him before. He has gone silent again, which usually means he's in the dark place. So prayers for Brian, please.
Kathleen, prayers of gratitude for my father, who has recovered from his stroke through physical rehabilitation and will not be going to the nursing home. He was pretty determined to do his exercises and get strong again so that nobody had to stay with him overnight.
Prayers for resilience for Shannon Craig. We've prayed for him before as a member of this community, and he's in prison right now. I saw him yesterday, and he's having a lot of challenges. So prayers for Shannon.
It delights me to watch young mothers and fathers care for their children, play with them, hug them, kiss them. And then I feel saddened by the 5,000 children that are not able to enter our country and probably don't even see their parents. Join me in praying for those children this morning and for their parents.
I want to bring up a subject earlier than is happening, because I'll be gone next weekend, and what I'm talking about is Veterans Day. I had the unbelievable experience this past week to talk with a gentleman at age 95 who was a pilot in the Second World War, flew C-47s. He figured he did about 100 missions in the Burma area. And he was we just had a great talk. But he has just inspired me to ask that everybody remember our special people on that special day.
I'd like to offer prayer for Judy and Mark Tucker, who are on the front lines of providing a lot of support for our refugee family who is struggling.
My name is Art, and I want to say a prayer for Holly and let her know that we're very thankful that she's been a part of our lives, and we hope to see her again soon. And also, I want to say a prayer that I say every day for global disarmament, because we could use that money we spend on tanks and bullets and guns to better the earth. So it's a long-term goal, but I'm praying that someday Earth is without weapons.
I just want to build on what Art said, because that was the thought was in my mind of Holly. Holly was one of the first people I met when I came to Sacred Journey in 2007, and she gave me a chocolate. And every week she said, "This is for you and Cheryl, here's your chocolate." But Holly, you have such an enormous spirit. I love and laugh every time when you say I'm going to be long-winded. And you keep that commitment. You are long-winded. But you are one beautiful human being, and I love you, and I know we all love you. We do.
This is a prayer of thanksgiving from our dear friend Marcine Johnson. Dear Sacred Journey, this is my prayer of thanksgiving and goodbye to you. I want you to know that I don't need visitors or cards or calls. Only I know that I thank God for you because you have had a special place in my heart. And I believe that God threw us together for lessons to learn from each other. My cup is full and running over. Send up the fireworks and balloons with thanksgiving for me as I thank God for you.
I want to pick up on what Bob and Art said in similar sense. This summer I've been to Europe twice, once to the Normandy beaches and most recently to Germany. And one of the things that I've learned from that is that that Second World War, as I suppose most wars are, impinge on young people. They are the ones who suffer and die. And so on this day of All Saints, I would like to offer a prayer for those young people who never had a chance to live out their lives like we have.
I'd appreciate prayers for my brother Tim and sister-in-law Erica, who are going through a divorce, that they would be blessed with clarity and love in their difficulties. Thanks.
And together let us pray as one. God of grace, receive these prayers from our heart to yours, Help us to be a community of compassion and justice. And lead us to trust in the quiet security of your love. Amen. You're invited now to bring your offerings forward as we sing. Offerings for the ministries of the church belong in the heart-shaped plate, and offerings for mission in the world in the ceramic bowl.
We have been told, we've seen God's face and heard God's voice alive in our hearts. Live in my love with all your heart, as God has loved me, so I have loved you. I am the vine, you are the branches, and all who live in me will bear great fruit. We have been told, we've seen your face and heard your voice alive in our hearts. Live in my love with all your heart, as God has loved me, so I have loved you. You are my friends if you keep my commands. No longer slaves, I call you friends. We have been told, we've seen God's face and heard God's voice alive in our hearts. Live in my love with all your heart, as God has loved me, so I have loved you. No greater love is there than this, to share our life with a friend. We have been told, we've seen your face and heard God's voice alive in our hearts. Live in my love with all your heart, as God has loved me, so I have loved you.
In the midst of these days, this season, some of you are celebrating your own good news. This season may have brought a birthday for you to celebrate or an anniversary. Perhaps there's an exciting chapter about to start, or you're closing the page on an important chapter that's ending. If you have good news to share this morning with us, we invite you, if you would, to come forward. We will hear your good news, and together we will offer our blessing. Who has good news to share today?
Go ahead.
Hey, last week my partner Lindsay announced an event that was going on, which happened last night in Osceola, Wisconsin, where we're living. And it was a fundraiser to help hire experts and lawyers to learn about and kind of fight a frack sand mine that's about 1.5 miles from where we're living. And actually there's quite a few frack sand mines along parts of the St. Croix and Mississippi in Wisconsin. Anyways, I just wanted to say that the event went really beautifully, and I was playing with Barbara McAfee and Dean McGraw, and it was really special. Great community event, and I think they raised some money. I don't know how much, but also I want to say if you want to support that cause, it's a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things, but it's one little climate change piece to try to fight locally. There's a GoFundMe page for St. Croix Communities Against Frack Sand Mining. And if you forget that, you can ask me.
If you'll indulge me, I want to tell you a little short story. When I was 12, 13 years old, I spent my Saturdays looking and learning birds along Minnehaha Creek in Edina, or I would take the streetcar downtown Hennepin Avenue and go to old bookstores looking for old bird books that I could buy for $1. One Saturday, I wandered into Powers bookstore, and I was amazed to see a 2-volume work called Birds of Minnesota, written by Dr. Thomas Sadler Roberts. And the book, it was a 2-volume cased book, and it was $15, which was a fortune at that time. But I had earned that much shoveling snow, mowing lawns for the last year. And my mother said, well, go buy the book. And then, make a long story short, it was about 1,000 pages of reading, but I read the book, and I made a decision at that time that I would update the bird material in that book as the years passed. So in 1975, with the help of a co-author, we updated the book. In 1987, I alone updated the book, and those 2 books were published by the University of Minnesota Press, as Robert's book was. And now I decided that I would keep updating it, and I've updated it through 2017, and the book came yesterday. It's only 600 pages long, but a recap. But it's my legacy to update the birds in Minnesota, and the book was on the back as one of the beautiful pictures of a loon with young on her back, typifying Minnesota. But it's a big accomplishment, and it was fun doing, and I hope as the legacy will be continued by other younger people. So thanks.
Little Grace Marie Hartman, my granddaughter and Dwight's great-granddaughter, who this community prayed for
Yes.
over before she was born and after she was born, and since then, turned 5 this week. So all is well, and it's beautiful.
So if you would, extend your hands in blessing, open your hearts. The words are God grant you many years.
As we come to the end of our time together this morning, there are so many things that I would like you to take a look at in the announcements. We're not going to even talk about all of them today, but 2 that I will mention. The final call for Advent devotionals is tomorrow. If you were thinking of one and you didn't get it in, you still have time as long as you email it by tomorrow at 5 o'clock. There will be a the theme this year is Holy Surprises. Someone says, what is the theme? Holy Surprises is the theme. There will be a State of the Church address on November 10th at 11:45 in the sanctuary. And also included is the date for the Charge Conference, which is November 24th at 11:30. You'll remember that our Charge Conference is part of our work as a United Methodist Church to set those and obey those disciplinary guidelines for our upcoming year in 2020. The men's retreat registration is open. It is live. You can register online. It will be a fabulous time, and we are encouraging as many men as possible to enjoy time at Koinonia on the 10th, because the girls are going to have a great time here. The 9th and 10th. So have fun. Really. If you haven't registered, talk to Jeff Smith and get registered. It is going to be fantastic. Are there any announcements from the floor?
I just wanted to mention 2 things. So as we said earlier, there are copies of today's poem on the table in case you're interested in having a copy to take with you. This was one of the ideas that came out of our community meeting yesterday morning that many of you attended. We're able to actually implement a couple of suggestions pretty much immediately, so that's one. And we're going to try and make that poem available for those of you who are interested in seeing it again and having a copy of it every week. The other thing which were able to implement, and you sort of experienced it today, was a request from several of our members that we create some more spaciousness and silence in the midst of our service. So we tried to do that today, and we'll continue experimenting with that so that we open up the space a little bit in the midst of our prayer. And there are other things that were suggested too that will take a little bit more work to massage and figure out how to implement. So thank you for all of you who participated yesterday. It was great.
If you are wondering whether you'll be able to access any of the information from yesterday, the answer is yes. As soon as we've had a chance to go through the notes completely and put them in a usable form, we'll make them available to you so that you can look at them, you can digest them, and then we can continue that wonderful conversation that we had. Thank you so much for those of you who were able to be here, and for those of you who held it in prayer, thank you as well. Prayers were answered in lots of different ways. Let's stand and sing our way out into the world.
the heartbeat of God. We're always in the heartbeat of God. Together in the heartbeat of God. Forever in the heartbeat of God. We're living in the heartbeat of God. We're always in the heartbeat of God. Together in the heartbeat of God. Forever in the heartbeat of God.
The heartbeat of God pulses strong within you. Obey it. Listen to it. Live by it. Share the rhythm with others so that they too can develop this close, intimate relationship with the one who promised us life, gives us life, and guides us to life. And all God's people said,
Amen. Our women, our children,